Today we're solving quadratic equations by completing the square. Okay, we have a couple of problems. We're going to do one basic and maybe one or two that are really hard. Okay, so basically to go deep on this topic. Let's start with the basic. My idea is that I have a quadratic function in standard form. 8x squared plus bx plus c. A is any number in front of the x squared, b any number in front of the x, and c is your constant. When I'm completing the square, meaning this is not a perfect square trinomial, that means I have to get rid of that constant. That's my first step, get rid of that. Therefore, I have x squared minus 6x, that's 0, equals to 11. If you notice, I left some space. That space is to find the value of c. How do I find the value of c? I take whatever is in front of the x, negative 6, and I always do the same process. Divided by 2 to the second power. And that's how I find the value of c. Negative 6 divided by 2, negative 3, square is positive 9. Now, because I'm doing an equation, whatever I add on one side, I add on the other side. So let me bring this over here. So I have x squared minus xx plus 9 equals to 20. How do we factor this trinomial? X goes here, and b divided by 2 is negative 6 divided by 2. This negative 3 will come here. So what goes here in my factor form? This is called a square of a binomial. Here, you're going to have this value divided by 2, and goes here. The other side is 20. Now I have x minus 3 to the second power equals 20. Remember, I just factored this trinomial. Now I'm going to solve for x. That's the idea. So x minus 3 squared equals 20. I got to find the value of x. How do I find the value of x? I got to get rid of that square. So I do square root on both sides. Okay. As soon as I do square root on both sides, in front of this radical, I'll have a plus or a minus. Don't forget. The square root and the square cancels out. So I have x minus 3 on here. Plus or minus square root of 20. So now the problem is this radical. Let me start working with this radical. Two numbers that you multiply get 20. 4 times 5. Why did I use 4? Because the square root of 4 is 2. And that's coming out of the radical. Square root of 5 stays the same. So let me bring that x minus 3. X minus 3. Now remember, the idea is to leave the x by itself. So I got to read it plus 3, and the 3's cancel out. Now here, I cannot combine them because the 2 is square root of 5. So they're not like terms. And also because I have a plus and a minus. So the way I solve this is this 3, I bring it in the front, and the plus or minus, I put it at the end. 2 square root of 5. And I am done. But now we need to realize that I have two answers here. So let me write the two answers. One of the answers is going to be using the plus, and the other answer is going to be using the minus. So let's get rid of black over here. One will be using the plus. So I have 3 plus 2 square root of 5. That's one of the answers. The second answer is using the minus. So I have 3 minus 2 square root of 5. And I'm done. Let's go for the second problem. Here's the second problem. Now this is a more complex number. Before we move ahead, please make sure you hit and subscribe, guys. Hit that corner, like the video. That's going to help us a lot to grow and help more people. So let's get into this problem. Also at the end, I will link in the description and at the end on some cards, so there's more videos about completing the square. All right, more examples. Let's get to this. The idea is the following. It's the same thing as the other one. I have to get rid of. I only want the x's on one side. Any constant goes to the other side. So I have 4x squared minus 4x space equals to 1, right? I'm crossing out this. Excellent. But if you remember, I said ax squared, right? 8x squared plus bx plus c. Now my a is 4. Is this 4? I don't want a 4. I want to have a 1. How can I make it 1? I gotta divide by 4. If I divide, I have to divide everything by 4. And by doing this, I'm going to have x squared minus 1x blank equals 1 over 4. All right, and now I have what I needed. Okay, now I got to find the value of c. This value, I'm sorry, is negative 1 divided by 2 to the second power. Always the same thing. Negative 1/2 to the second power is 1 over 4. So that's the value that I'm going to add here. That's your c value. Okay, if I add it to one side, I add it to the other side. Therefore, I have x squared minus 1x plus 1/4 equal to 2/4. Now I have to factor this trinomial. Remember the shortcut, x and whatever's inside the parentheses, which is your value of b divided by 2, that goes here. Your value of b divided by 2, negative 1 divided by 2 is negative 1/2. And that goes to the second power. It's always the same thing, because imagine if I ask you how to factor this thing. You'll go crazy. So this is a shortcut. And the other side is 2 over 4, which I can simplify. Divided by 2 is 1, divided by 2 is 2, so it's equal to 1/2. Now I have this. So let's start working with that. I need to get rid of this square. Therefore, square root on both sides. That square roots cancel this. So I have x minus 1/2 equals, remember, as soon as we do square root on both sides, you get a plus or minus on this side, and you have 1/2. So the idea with all these problems is that I have to do some kind of working here. So let's keep going. That 1/2 is the same as 1 over 2, which is the same as square root of 1 is 1, square root of 2 is 2, right? I'm working on this side only. But now, can I have a radical in the denominator? No, you can't, right? That's the answer. So I have to rationalize that denominator. How? Square root of 2, square root of 2, and that's going to give me a plus or minus. The top is going to give me square root of 2. The bottom is going to be square root of 4. I'll link a video about this, all radicals. Next, plus or minus, square root of 2, nothing that I can do. But square root of 4 is 2. So now let me bring all this all the way down. So I have x minus 1/2. You see that? I did all that process on the right side. Now I need to leave the x by itself. Therefore, I have to add 1/2 on both sides. This is going to cancel out. And now I have x equals, remember, this has a plus or minus. I'm going to push that to the end. Plus or minus square root of 2 over 2. And this 1/2, I put it in the beginning. Okay? I can write that down, or because they have the same denominator, I keep the same denominator and I write 1 plus or minus square root of 2. You need to understand that this is going to give you two answers. My first answer is using the plus. 1 plus square root of 2 over 2. The second answer will give you the minus. 1 minus square root of 2 over 2. And those are your two final answers. Let's do another one. This is fun. There we go. All right, let's do our example number 3. Okay, this is going to be our final example. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, hit the notification bell. All right, 8x squared plus bx plus c equals 0. That's what we're looking for. A is equal to 2. I need a 1. I don't want that. First step, I want my constant in the other side. 2x squared minus 7 blank equals negative 3. Now, I don't want the 2. I want a 1 divided by 2, divided by 2, divided by 2. I was going to show you a different process, which is, doing a greatest common factor, but I think this is much easier. So let's just get rid of this numerator. 2 divided by 2 cancels, and I have x squared minus 7 over 2x plus a blank, and this blank is going to be our value of c, equals negative 3 over 2. This process is that we have to deal with fractions, guys. All right, I'll link a video for fractions. Next, I need to find the value of c. How do I find the value of c? So the value of c, technically speaking, is c is b divided by 2 to the second power. What's b? b is any value that is in front of the x. In this case, this is in front of the x. Negative 7 over 2 divided by 2. Everything to the second power. Now, I have a fraction on the top. Let's make a fraction on the bottom. Now, you can solve this, the flip change thing, what was that thing? Negative 7 divided by 2. I'm sorry, negative 7 over 2 divided by 2 over 1. How does it work? Keep, change, flip. My answer is negative 7 over 4. Guys, let me show you a different process. When I have two fractions dividing, what I do is I take my first one and I multiply times the last one. Negative 7 times 1 is going to be negative 7. And the middle values, 2 times 2 is 4. And I get the same answer. Alright, so that's another way how to divide these two fractions. Everything to the second power. Now negative 7 over 4 to the second power is negative 7 squared, 49, 4 squared, 16. And this is the value of c. So let's write that down. So x squared minus 7 over 2x plus c is 49 over 16 equals, I had a negative 3 over 2. Whatever I do one side, the 49 over 16, I have to add it to the other side. Alright, cool. Now, we got a factor now. Now we got to factor this trinomial. Remember, x, and it's going to be this divided by 2. It's going to be negative 7 over 2 divided by 2, which is negative 7 over 4. So you get your answer from here all the time. That to the second power, and that's how you factor this trinomial. Now I have to deal with this fraction, negative 3 over 2 plus 49 over 16. And they need the same denominator. How can I turn the 2 into 16? Times 8 times 8. So it's going to give me negative 3 times 8 is negative 24. 2 times 8 is 16. The top, 49 over 16. This is going to be the same thing. Now let's add these two. I got negative 24 plus 49, or 49 minus 24, which is 25, and I keep the same denominator. Let me break this one down. X minus 7 over 4 to the second power. Now I have to get rid of this square. So I have to do square root on both sides. Don't forget, as soon as you do a square root on both sides of an equation, you have a plus or minus. Don't forget that. Square root of 25 is 5. Square root of 16 is 4. So plus or minus 5 over 4. Here, square root cancels out, and I have x minus 7 over 4. Our last step, get rid of this. Plus 7 over 4, plus 7 over 4. This cancels, and I have x equals. Now, this has a plus or minus. You push it to the end. Plus minus 5 over 4. And this 7 over 4, you bring in the front. You're done. But I need to break this into two answers. Okay, my first answer, let me cross this out, is going to be x equals 7 over 4, and I use the plus. 5 over 4. Same denominator. Keep it. 7 plus 5. Reduce. 3. And that's one answer. Next. 7 over 4 minus 5 over 4. Denominator, keep it. 7 minus 4. 2. Reduce. 1/2. So it's 3 and 1/2. Those are the two answers. How do you know if they're right or wrong? Plug them back in the original equation. Alright guys, in front of your screen, you have suggested videos and the subscription. Please subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next one. Take care. Like the video. Bye.